So in this video, we're going to talk about how to subtract polynomials. So to subtract polynomials, we're going to start off by rewriting subtracting as adding the opposite. So remember, we can do this with numbers, right? So 6 minus 2 is basically saying the same thing as find 6 plus negative 2. So if we were doing 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 minus x squared plus 4x plus 2, we can rewrite that as 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 plus negative of x squared plus 4x plus 2. Okay, so we just rewrote that subtraction there as adding the opposite. So what we are going to do now is we're going to take that negative and we're going to distribute it to every term in the second polynomial. So if you want to, you can think about this as a -1, because remember, we don't write those coefficients of 1 in algebra. So if that helps you, feel free to add in that 1. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to make every term in the second polynomial have the opposite sign. So now this problem is going to look like 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 plus negative x squared minus 4x minus 2. Okay, so once again, all I've done is switched all the signs in the second polynomial. So now that, notice that we've turned this into an addition problem, right? So it doesn't even look like subtraction anymore. So we're going to use the exact same steps that we did in the last video to go ahead and add these polynomials together. So I'm going to write all the terms in the first polynomial that line up with the second polynomial. So for example, we have 2x squared, and then from the second polynomial, we have this minus x squared, right? Remember that minus x squared basically has a coefficient of 1. Now let's do the terms with an x. So we have this plus 3x, and we also have this minus 4x, okay? And now let's do the constant terms from both. So we have minus 4, and then we have minus 2. So when we add these together, 2x squared minus 1x squared is going to give me just 1x squared. Plus 3x minus 4x is going to give me minus 1x. And then minus 4 minus 2 gives me minus 6. So remember, we usually don't write those coefficients of 1, so I'm just going to rewrite this as x squared minus x minus 6. And that's our final answer. So basically, remember that when we're subtracting polynomials, we're going to start off by rewriting all polynomials in standard form, just like we did with addition. Remember to add in a 0 term if you have a term of any degree that's skipped. Then we're going to rewrite the subtraction as addition of the opposite, and then we're going to multiply all the terms in the second polynomial by -1. Then we'll identify the like terms and combine them by combining the coefficients. Make sure that your final answer is written in standard form. So let's try this first example. So remember, I'm always going to check and make sure that my two polynomials are in standard form. So here we have a second degree term, then first degree term, and then constant. So that's good. And then second degree, first degree, and constant. Okay, so since all my polynomials are good and I don't have any skipped terms, I'm going to go ahead and start off by rewriting this subtraction as an addition. So I have this 4x squared minus 5x plus 6 plus negative of 2x squared plus 3x minus 1. Now my next step is going to be basically to distribute that negative sign to every single term in the second polynomial. So my first polynomial will stay the same, and then my second polynomial is going to become negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add these polynomials together. So I'm going to start off with my first polynomial. So I have 4x squared, and then I have minus 5x, and then plus 6. Now from my second polynomial, I have negative 2x squared, and then I have minus 3x, and then I have plus 1. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add these together. So 4 minus 2 gives me 2x squared. Negative 5 and negative 3 give me negative 8x. And 6 plus 1 gives me 7. So 2x squared minus 8x plus 7 is my final answer. So now let's try this problem. So you can see here pretty quickly that these two polynomials are not in standard form. So we're going to have to start off by rearranging them. And also in that process, we're going to make sure that we can add in a 0 for any skipped terms. It's kind of easier to do those two steps at once. It just saves you a little bit of time. So if we look at our first polynomial, the highest degree term is the 4th degree. So we have 3x to the 4th. We have no x cubed term, so I'm going to add in a 0x cubed. And then we have a minus 2x squared. First degree term is going to be plus 5x. And then we have our constant term, which is plus 4. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract my second polynomial. I'm going to write it down here because I'm almost out of room. The highest degree term is 5x cubed, so I have 5x cubed, and then plus x squared. And then we have minus 2x, and we have no constant term, so I'm just going to put plus 0. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to go ahead and change that subtraction sign to addition of the opposite. Okay, so that's going to be plus negative, and then we write the second polynomial. So 5x cubed plus x squared minus 2x plus 0. Okay, so now let's go ahead and work on this problem now after we go ahead and distribute that negative sign. Okay, so my first polynomial is going to remain unchanged. So I'm just going to copy down all those terms. And then I have plus negative 5x cubed minus x squared plus 2x and then minus 0. Okay, so now let's work on lining up our like terms. So from my first polynomial, I have 3x to the 4th, and then I have plus 0x cubed, and then minus 2x squared, and then plus 5x, and we have plus 4. Okay, so from my second polynomial, we'll notice I don't have an x to the 4th term, right? So I can always just go ahead and add in a 0. So I have 0x to the 4th, okay? And then for my cube term, I have minus 5x cubed. And then I have minus x squared. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in that 1. And then we have plus 2x. And then we have minus 0. Okay, so now let's add up all our terms. So 3 plus 0 is going to give me 3x to the 4th. 0 plus negative 5 gives me negative 5x cubed. Negative 2 plus negative 1 gives me negative 3x squared. 5 plus 2 gives me 7x. And then 4 minus 0 is just going to give me 4. So this is my final answer. I have 3x to the 4th minus 5x cubed minus 3x squared plus 7x plus 4. Okay, so now you can go ahead and pause the video and try doing this example on your own. So in this polynomial, you'll see that we need to first rearrange in standard form. So we're going to do 5x squared plus 4x plus 3. The second one is also not in standard form. So we do negative 6x squared plus 3x, and then we have to add in a plus 0 because there's no constant in this polynomial. Then we go ahead and switch that subtraction to addition of the negative, and then we distribute that negative to every term in the second polynomial. So then when we add up our like terms, 5x squared plus 6x squared is 11x squared, 4x minus 3x is 1x, and then 3 minus 0 is 3. Okay, and since we don't write coefficients of 1, I just went ahead and rewrote this as 11x squared plus x plus 3. All right, so to subtract polynomials, begin by rewriting the polynomials in standard form. Remember to add 0 for any terms that are skipped. Then rewrite the subtraction as addition of the opposite, and then next you combine like terms by adding together the coefficients of the terms.